Welcome back to the Brother to Brother Show. I'm your host, K Mo, where we master modern relationships, build trust, and communicate better. With that said, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We're going to have a really good talk about um, relationships, as we always do for the most part. But this particular one, we're going to talk about like a piggyback off of what we've been talking about with building your confidence with men, right? When you're building your confidence in relationships, how do those things come together, and what's the next steps after that, right? And so a lot of times, I've even had some of my own friends who've maybe gone out there, dated, or they've been married for a long period of time, been in relationships for a long period of time, and quite frankly, they don't really know how to get back out there and date, right? It's so different than it was even 10 years ago, 5 years ago, with the social media platforms, with the online dating. I did my share of that, so I understand the trials and tribulations that those things come up with. So I wanted to kind of talk about what that looks like, and also what does it look like for a man's financial capacity and budget when he's out there trying to date. And so there's some things that I would say you would have to do. So definitely we talked about getting a mentor, financial literacy, building your confidence, but all those things have a purpose, right? And the purpose of our conversation tonight is to talk about the dating, what goes on after you build that within yourself and that confidence, is to then you're actually going on dates. And one of the things that, again, I hear a lot of my friends, and I know they're not going to do it, but this is just information for those who are really trying to really absorb some new things and tactics to kind of get back out there, or who are afraid, or who are going through this particular situation right now, and they really don't know how to kind of like get there. A lot of, if you're in a living relationship for a long period of time, you've catered a lot of your life to that other person, or if you haven't really been dating seriously, you've been catering it to something else. That's been your relationship. If that be work, that be family. And a lot of times I hear that with women who are trying to get back out there in the scenes, they are not equipped to date people at all. But there's some things you have to do within before, if you want the results that you want. And the results that you want are, being in a committed relationship where a man wants to be in a committed relationship with you, not you forcing the situation, him saying that he is what he's looking for, you're doing it, you all interact, you all like each other, and then he asks you to be his main squeeze. He asks you without any pressure to be with him, so that he can carry and push and lead the relationship into the next phase, right? If that be fiancéship, marriage, and then a future with somebody. That is the goal all the time here with the Brother to Brother Show, when we kind of talk about these things. So is marriage. So with that said, as you grow into those things, you evolve and you kind of understand who you are. And as men, as people in general who are professionals, who are confident in themselves already, you think you know it all, right? But it's kind of taking baby steps and understanding. It's just like anything that you do. You're going to have to take baby steps. You don't know what you're talking about if it's a new, place you're going into. So, and everything kind of starts over. So, here's a simple yet impactful approach to help you refine your tasks while preparing and shaping those moments, is create 2 lists. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. How do you go about doing that and start dating, gentlemen? Is you create a list, right? So redefine and understand who you are. Again, a lot of guys think they know who they are because you've been, especially if you're over 30, you think you know everything. You think you got it together. You have to redefine what you like to do without that person, or without those other things at this new stage in your life, right? So I will create the list. So create the list of the things that you like to do. For myself, I've always done this. I'm a sports guy. I like to cook. I like to engage in music. So classical music, jazz, I'm kind of a renaissance guy, if you could say that, and I like a lot of different things. It just so happened I played a sport, I was into art, I was into music, and so I was with the jocks, I was with the band geeks, and I was also with the like gothic kind of people who are like, weird in a certain type of way, with having that art background. So with those things, I kind of naturally got that, but I also have to try to think outside the box. So if you're not that type of person, which is fine, you still need to create and think about the things that you like to do, but also the things that you would like to do in your hobbies, right? Do that first. That's very important. We're doing that for a reason. We're creating a list for ourselves so that we can also tell that to somebody, but also we want to align, just like we want to align with your relationship goals in life. You want to align the common things, and you're trying to bring those commonalities together so that you can build a relationship with somebody. That is your purpose. That's all this is. Don't think too much into it. Write those things down. Have a list of 10 if you can, right? So again, I told you mine: sports, music, and this specific music: classical, jazz, R&B. I do like rap for the gym. I put gym on my list as well. I put activities, active. I played basketball growing up as a jock, so that's one of the things I enjoy doing, and I put that on my list. After you come up with your list, and you really think about it, now I want you to also put on your list how much those things that you attend or you've been through, how much they cost. Think about it like this: if you're a restaurant person, or you like food, or you like, write down the Ruth Chris. Okay, write down the Cheesecake Factory, and write down specifically what you like on that list. Write down the cost of that, right? Do that for each one of your things. Some of your things may be free. If they're free, fantastic. And I promise you this: a lot of things that you also have, that you're itemizing, there is a free component to it. Outside of probably restaurant, outside of concert and like classical music. Even if it's classical music, I'll use jazz for a lot of our my black folks, right? We look at jazz. There are a lot of free things within your city or state that has jazz tied to it. So yes, write down the cost, or write down a specific jazz artist you like to go to, or you like to listen to, and then write down typically how much that is. So for mine, I always use like a Robert Glasper. Robert Glasper is a pianist, and he's pretty awesome, pretty dope. He's played with Marsha Ambrosia. He's played with Jill Scott, a lot of different R&B artists, but he also is he just plays a lot of different genres of music, but specifically is through jazz. So I write down that. Typically, I don't pay high premium price for Robert, because a lot of times he doesn't play like that either. Most of his tickets are reasonably priced, so when you're doing that and you're thinking about an additional person, you need to add that on as well. Not right now, but I'm just letting you know what it looks like in the future. Write your list of what you like to do. Next to that list, write down the things and how much they usually are. Now, the third thing I want you to do with that list is create another column that a free item with that. Right? So is a cost with it, and then a venue, or maybe you've been to a space where it's been free. Basketball, think about it like this. You may have a friend of a friend who plays basketball in a league, or you have a friend of a friend's son or daughter plays in a league, and you're going to watch them play, right? Sometimes they do cost, but sometimes they may be free, and you're just checking out the game. Think outside the box, right? Is no correct answer. This is your list. All right. So the next thing, this is useful for later, as I mentioned before, is you're going to create a second list, right? So as now you're engaging in this person, and you've already met the person. You've already had a conversation with this individual. Now, what I do when I'm dating somebody, when I'm in a dating space, I'm asking specific questions for the purpose of this. A lot of times women don't know that, right? They're thinking I'm trying to interrogate them, or but for I don't know why. But the women who are purposeful, who do understand that it takes time, it is a level of patience that goes along with this, those are the ones you want anyway, right? And I'm not talking about like, you're bullshitting anybody, but you're really being purposeful, guys, in this state. So with that said, you're asking them, what do you like to do in your spare time? When you get past the regular stuff, what are some things you like to do, right? And now you're creating a list for her. Mental note, they are a restaurant person. They like to hang out with their friends sometimes. They like to, go to art galleries. They may like to do wineries. They might be pottery. They might like music. Write down that list. Okay? That's the simple part for them. Now, what you want to do and feel comfortable with it, you want to look at the list and align it with yours. And let me go back just 1 second. With your list, I want you to now put the list in chronological order based off of the cost of those items. Go to her list that you created, put it next to it. Now you want to align, right? The purpose of this list is to help you understand her and your preferences, her preferences, and do you have some common things that you all like to do? Because a woman wants to see you take the lead in how you are moving with her. She doesn't know what you're doing, right? But you're moving in the space so that one thing is you're listening. You're showing her that you're listening, number one. Number two, you're showing her that you paid attention to what she likes to do. And now you're actually putting that thing in action. You're putting that thing in action. And for the right woman, again, gentlemen, for the right woman, she's going to see that as he's listening to me. He's leading this relationship at an earlier time, right? That makes them feel more comfortable later on, right? So that means that when you can tell them to do certain things, or you ask them to do certain things, they may question or think to question, but because you're showing them through your actions that you're listening at an earlier stage, it might make them feel more comfortable later on. Okay. So what I would also, again, I wouldn't don't go up to the highest rank or the lowest rank, however you have yours, that the highest price, they have to earn that, gentlemen. Right? Doesn't mean you don't take them out. Doesn't mean it has to be free. I personally like to do things that I feel comfortable with based off the conversation we've had. If a lot of things align, if the vibe is there, as a lot of you all we talk about nowadays, you feel comfortable with where she wants to do in life. Is she the type of woman that you could see her as a wife, a mother to your kids, and things like that? Just by listening to her, she has that mindset. Then I might do a little bit more than something that free. Now I've been to some free stuff that's off the chain. That's like amazing, that you wouldn't even think is free, that the average person would have to pay a lot of money for, but the research has to be there. That's why you have to do the work first to know some of those places that you're located and that you could put on your list, right? So once you've done it, she'll have nothing to worry about on that date. It's building trust, as I mentioned before, making her feel better. Trust me, you'll thank me later if you've done this work, you put it together, and after the date, she can kind of see that these things can kind of put in line. Now, think about the data as from the time you get her in the car or the time you meet up until the time you leave. So, for instance, if you're meeting up, think about the costs associated with parking, right? Try to find a parking space for her, if it's a free parking situation. And then, maybe you can find your own park and walk closer to the spot. I like to get to places a little bit earlier so I can find a parking space and maybe even a spot for her. That also shows her you're being considerate. Again, if this the person that you're supposed to be around and that you want in your life, this person will appreciate it, right? You want appreciation. The one common thing that I hear a lot of men that they don't necessarily say, but I know that's what they're saying, is they don't feel appreciated. Do these things for you first. And if they don't appreciate, that's fine. But you're treating it as an internal confidence things for yourself. You might be disappointed in how they react to it, but trust and believe when you're doing it over time, that's who you become. And the person that is supposed to respond the way they should will give you what you need, fellas. So always remember that everybody's not going to appreciate it. My mentor told me this a while ago, and I never forgot it. He says, you can never lower your standard, but adjust your expectation of people. Your standard is always to show up and be there on time, and to be there a little bit early and do that, right? Her response is your expectation, because some people don't even know how to respond to you being a gentleman or them being treated a certain way, right? I know we see women online when they're getting treated a certain way, but a lot of that stuff is done out of lust as a man. And the men know, we know if you're really serious or not. So think about all those types of things from the time the beginning of the date, put it in your head and think about how that date is. Think about, from the time you walk in, from the time you leave, during, things like that. And have plan B too, right? Plan B of what you might want to do after you leave that spot. So just think about where you are, where you're located. And it sounds kind of complex now, but once you do it over time, and becomes who you are, and it's gaining wisdom. This is showing a person that, showing a woman that you have her the whole time, they become more comfortable with you. And that's all I'm really trying to put out there and show you. If you do the things you need to do, the back work on yourself, and up until this point, trust me, you'll reap the reward. Now, sometimes people don't appreciate, like I mentioned before, but that's okay. You'll attract the type of person, and the person that doesn't appreciate it, it's easier to let it go at the beginning, as opposed to being in a relationship with this person and they're not who they say they are. This is how to weed those people out. So remember, this isn't about being cocky or arrogant at all. It's all about, being firm in your purpose. And some might label as, a certain way, but that's okay. You're here for a reason, and you're here to find the person that should align up with the things that you want, and you all align together. Okay. So thanks so much for listening to this podcast. Until next time, I'm your host, K Mo. We appreciate you. Work with us, be with us, and know we're coming from the heart. Peace.